Part 3, Chapter 5 and 6. Chapter 5. Working. The man was someone familiar. That much was certain now. He wore his golden blonde hair tied back in a ponytail, with 2 loose strands framing his face on either side. He was tall, taller than Kilan and Jiyan, so she had to tilt her head far back to look into his green-brown eyes. He had to be in his mid to late 20s. Now that they were standing face to face, a familiar feeling stirred inside her, and she did not step back. Was he not a danger? Could it be that he had been part of her dream world? Liam? Yes, exactly. That's it. Seriously? That trick again? Does it never end? He released her wrist, letting out a sigh. His familiar manner confirmed her suspicion. They knew each other. But what kind of relationship did they have? Was he on good terms with her Slivon? That friendship could be either her safeguard or her downfall. What mattered was that she behaved naturally. But how did her Slivon usually act around others? I'm glad you're getting out and meeting people, really. But we were worried, Jiyan. Next time, let us know before you leave. Her teeth chattered. The rain had soaked her hair and clung to the back of her neck. The wind added even more cold. It was uncomfortable. She forced a smile. To avoid drawing attention, she would have to put on an act. What other choice did she have? Her mask could not slip. Next time, I'll document everything in detail so you don't have to worry, Liam. Kilan looked at her with raised eyebrows. His eyes were hard to make out behind his glasses, which were fogging up and collecting raindrops. You're going to do that? Can you keep it short? Otherwise, it'll take forever. Kilan, not now. I only mean well, Jiyan. Liam replied. After all, we're a family. You understand that, right? Family? Kilan breathed the word, as if struck by a sudden realization. It was as though a switch had been flipped in his head. He was suddenly different, almost unrecognizable. A muscle twitched in his right cheek. Though he spoke quietly to himself, his voice cut deep into her awareness. Now he had Liam's attention as well. Kilan laughed, but it sounded forced. For a fleeting second, an image flashed through Jiyan's mind. Kilan holding a screwdriver, his face streaked with tears. The sight stole her breath. What kind of memory was that? She wondered, blinking the image away as quickly as she could. She had been holding her breath and now began to pant softly. No one noticed. Why? I want to know. Why? Family is extremely important. Only family can heal you and hurt you deeply at the same time. Even so, it must be protected. Nothing is more important because you cannot live without it. Liam's knuckles turned white as he tightened his grip on the umbrella handle. Had Kilan struck a nerve? It seems we feel the same way. Then his attention shifted to Jiyan, and his eyes widened for a moment. He grew thoughtful. Weren't you in the clinic quite often 2 years ago? He shook his head and pressed his lips together before looking back at her. Jiyan, am I interrupting? Are you working right now? Her heart pounded up into her throat. Why would he ask something like that so suddenly, so unprepared, when she herself felt completely off balance inside? Keeping in mind that every wrong word could get her into trouble, she took her time answering. The most important thing was not to stand out. The masquerade had to be maintained. It was her guarantee of success. All the eyes on her made it harder to breathe, her scalp tingling. Hadn't she always been someone who didn't handle pressure well? I am, yes. I see. He nodded and sighed. I'm still against you working. Why don't you take an interest in girly things, like every other girl your age? Why are you just so exhausting? She finished for him, twisting her mouth into a crooked smile. Such a disaster? So annoying? His expression darkened. No, just so different. Haven't you found your true self by now? Your search has to come to an end. Find your inner peace. Just let the past rest, Jiyan. She lowered her gaze and drifted into thought. What was this self he was talking about? Where did it come from, and where was it anchored? What defined it? Did it matter who one's family was and where one's roots lay? Or was the self shaped by something else? It was a combination of so many things. That much she had come to understand. Could she actively control it, or was the self merely an illusion? How much influence did she have over it? Where did it stand in society? How important was she really? She was no closer to an answer and remained silent. My name is Liam Wilson. He finally introduced himself, gesturing at himself with his thumb. While doing so, he alternated his gaze between Kilan and Jiyan. He tilted his head slightly and waited patiently. And what are your names? I'm Kilan. Nice to meet you, he said. Unexpectedly, he grabbed Liam's free hand with both of his and shook it vigorously up and down while Liam stared at him with a furrowed brow. With every passing second, Liam seemed more uncomfortable. You seem nice. Kilan stepped closer, forcing Liam to take a step back and lean his upper body away. Had this boy never heard of personal space? Liam nodded toward his hand. Yes, could you please let go? Kilan. He corrected him. Kilan. Kilan. He shook the hand a bit longer before finally releasing it. Jiyan suppressed a grin. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed that Jiyan had been watching her constantly. How could he hold back for so long and contribute nothing to the conversation? What was going through his mind? Why was he watching her so intently? Was he remembering something when he studied her like that? You've made friends. It was about time, Jiyan, she heard Liam say, and she flinched. What kind of personality did her Slivon have? No friends? It sounded as though he locked himself inside and rarely went out. Did she have to understand her Slivon's personality in order to find herself? There's something on your mind, Liam, she said. What made her so sure something was bothering him? After all, this Liam wasn't the same Liam from her dream world, or was he? A sharp pain pierced her skull, and she squeezed one eye shut. Her mouth acted on its own. What is it? Out with it. For a moment, his eyes widened. A hint of a smile appeared. You amaze me again and again. Do you know that? He clenched his hand into a fist and stared distractedly at the ground. Something was working inside him. I've thought it through carefully, Jiyan. The others don't know yet. I've never been more certain, believe me. I want to become a tin soldier. Rank 2. That... The words caught in her throat. He placed a hand on her shoulder and smiled at her openly and sincerely. He radiated confidence, as if nothing could go wrong. What convinced him? What drove him to become a soldier? "Don't worry. My gut tells me I can do it. I'll go through the training and finally be able to hunt CRs. Those damn humans! Why can't they just stay happy and content in the dream world?" Suddenly, she felt an icy cold behind her. She glanced over her shoulder and saw Kilan clenching his teeth, his eyebrows drawn together. "He's not going to lose control, is he? Come on, those are just words. Words that mean nothing." "I've heard the admission requirements are tough," Kilan chimed in. "Is that true?" Liam shifted his weight to the other leg. "Yes, that's right. Would you be interested? We could start together." He paused. He and Kilan locked eyes. 3 breaths passed, then Liam nodded. "Training to be a Sin soldier could cost me my life, yes, but it's worth it. It will allow me to get close to the CRs. I'll bring every single CR down and bring them back to us. I swear it on my life. I will find a way to wipe out humanity forever. We will live in peace." It happened far too fast. Kilan grabbed Liam by the collar with both hands and yanked him closer until their faces were only inches apart. "Who do you think you are?" Jiyan looked desperately at Kilan. "Do something. You know him better." "What's bothering you?" Liam asked calmly. He grasped Kian's hands, but didn't remove them from his collar. He seemed unfazed by the attack. "The way you're behaving, one might think you're a human. A vile, twisted, cruel human who will never understand the heart of a Slivon." His eyes narrowed. "This is going to escalate. Why aren't you doing anything, body? Dispel the suspicion. Otherwise, you'll never find out. You'll never be able to ask him. You want to know, don't you?" A Chin soldier noticed them and approached. It wasn't the woman from earlier, but a young man, 1 or 2 years younger than Jiyan. One look at his armband told her he was on patrol, checking that everything was in order. Are they everywhere? Kian didn't get any further before Kilan tore him away from Liam. Kilan smiled at Liam, who calmly straightened his collar. "He's in a really bad mood because a Slivon snatched his girlfriend a few days ago. I apologize on his behalf. Don't hold it against him. He's usually very sweet." "Is everything all right?" The Sin soldier had reached them. Despite his young age, he carried himself with confidence and authority. He looked at each of them in turn. "Is there a problem here? Can I help?" Liam looked at Jiyan. She avoided his gaze. "Everything's fine. We just had a disagreement to sort out. Sorry for the disturbance, soldier." He saluted. The soldier nodded, lingered for a moment, then moved on. Had they been lucky that such a young Sin soldier had noticed them? He seemed satisfied too quickly. In that instant, her body reacted on its own. She grabbed the longer fabric at the back of his uniform, and the Sin soldier stopped immediately. The air felt thin. Her whole body tingled. He turned halfway around, his gaze resting on her. "Yes?" What had she done? She suppressed the rising panic. Realizing what she had done, she released him at once and inclined her upper body slightly forward. "Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to wish you a pleasant day. Please take good care of yourself." "Thank you, and goodbye," he replied, walking on. Had she saved herself skillfully, or was he simply a naive soldier? Why had she stopped him? Had the Slivon taken control for a split second? She had known it. As long as she didn't have complete control over the Slivon, she was a danger. Over time, the rain eased. The Slivons in the sky remained motionless. This state wouldn't last long. If she wanted to prevent another Slivon chase like last time, they had to leave. "Well then," Liam began. He patted Jiyan's head. "Visit Zayina at the clinic from time to time. Your sister worries about you, you know." He wrapped an arm around her and pulled her closer. She felt drained and allowed the closeness. Under his umbrella, his words sounded louder, sinking more clearly into her mind. "I know you hate it when I treat you like a child, but I can't help it. You should know, ever since Zayina and I got engaged, I consider you family, and I have to protect everyone who belongs to my family." His last words were whispered, sending goosebumps across her entire body. "Make sure you don't overwork yourself, Jiyan. Don't do overtime." Without much of a farewell, he turned on his heel. He didn't stop once, nor did he look back. With her arms crossed, she finally turned to Kilan. She wanted to lecture him and already had the words ready. But when she looked at both boys' faces, she faltered. What was wrong? Her pulse quickened. The mood shifted. "Zayina?" Kilan murmured, blinking several times. "He said Zayina." "Yes, and?" He grabbed her by both shoulders and shook her. His eyes shone, and he grinned from ear to ear. "Jiyan, thank goodness we met you. You're our salvation." "What? You're speaking in riddles again?" She sighed. "What's wrong with you two? Come on, explain it to me." He looked up at the sky, then shook his head. "Not now. Not here. Let's go home." Chapter 6. The Birthmarks. The sky was overcast, but the rain had stopped completely. Before the last raindrop could touch the ground, they had made it home. In that very moment, her nerves relaxed. For now, they were safe. Jiyan sat on the sofa, her chin propped up in both hands. She watched in silence, wearing a bored expression. Kilan stood in a corner with his arms crossed over his chest and his legs crossed. Meanwhile, Kilan paced back and forth restlessly. For several minutes now, Jiyan had been waiting in vain for an explanation for his behavior. Something had him agitated. "Kilan, just think about the opportunities Jiyan gives us." Kilan started again. As his excitement grew, Kian's did the opposite. "It must have been luck that Jiyan was the one who woke up, and that we found her." Kian's and Jiyan's gazes met briefly. Was it really luck? "What are you trying to say?" She snapped at him immediately. She felt attacked. There was a tone in his voice she didn't like. "Are you suspecting that I'm not human, or what?" Kilan stopped. He stood directly in her line of sight. He raised his hands placatingly and smiled, turning his head back and forth between her and Kilan. Hey, no fighting. Be nice to each other." Suddenly, he sneezed. "How do you know Liam, for example?" Kilan pressed on. While speaking, he remained perfectly calm, something that provoked her more than anything else about this situation. He gave no impression that he intended to drop the subject anytime soon. "There are several inconsistencies that raise doubts. I don't need to list them all, do I?" Jiyan straightened up and rolled her eyes. In my dream world, I met Liam briefly. He's a different personality, yes, but at least our names aren't a lie. The only truth in the dream world, remember? Are you two ignoring me? Kilan grew quieter. Guys? Hello? I'm talking to you. Kian's gaze sharpened, stirring a strange feeling inside her. Aren't you just making things fit your narrative, Jiyan? How am I supposed to prove it to you? Tell me! She shouted and jumped to her feet. Her teeth clenched. Why was he being so openly hostile? A sharp pain flared in her head and her body tensed. I'm making things fit? Me? Just because you don't like me, you're accusing me. I'm not the Jiyan you know from your dream world. I haven't done anything to you. Hey, I'm still here too. Kilan raised his voice. His voice cracked briefly, sounding hoarse, and stretched out his arms as if to keep them from lunging at each other. For a moment, silence fell. Both of them looked at Kilan. Then Jiyan and Kian locked eyes again, and Kilan let his head hang. Kian sighed wearily. I don't see you as the Jiyan I know, and I don't hate you. You're not like her. How? She began. Can I prove that I'm human? Don't Slivons leave behind some kind of trace when they take control? Isn't there any sign? No, unfortunately not, Kilan replied, shaking his head after Kian fell silent and lowered his gaze. By now, Kilan had sat down on the sofa and rested his chin in his hands. They had switched roles. We only know when a Slivon has left a body. As long as the personality traits aren't drastically different, there's no way to tell when the human wakes up. That actually gives us an advantage, too. Suddenly, he pushed up one sleeve and presented his bare arm. He cleared his throat. Slivons leave birthmarks behind when they die. Compared to real birthmarks, the ones left by Slivons have a toxic green rim. You need to take a closer look at them. She sat down beside Kilan and touched his warm skin. Running her fingers along his arm, giving him goosebumps, she discovered a birthmark that was black at the center but green around the edges. It also shimmered faintly whenever she cast a shadow over it. Incredible, she murmured, raising her eyebrows. But I don't have any. Kilan pushed his glasses up and slowly shook his head. That can't be. Everyone has them. You must have at least 2. I'm telling you, I don't have any, she insisted. She knew her body well. She had never found anything suspicious. A shimmering birthmark would have stood out. What does that mean for me? Kilan brought a hand to his throat. Every time he swallowed, his face tightened. Figures for a body related to Jiyan. What's so special about her? She asked. He looked her straight in the eyes before answering. Jiyan's father is the president of the Slivons. He's never appeared in public or shown himself personally. There are only photographs. Rumor has it that he and Jiyan are the first Slivons to have taken over a body from birth and never died. 0 birthmarks. That's extremely rare among Slivons. Most humans have many birthmarks because they've been inhabited by different Slivons multiple times. But looking at you, you don't resemble the president or Jiyan in any way. Suddenly, he took her face in his hands and leaned very close, as if he were about to kiss her. She stiffened. Maybe. No, nothing about you is similar. Hard to believe she's supposed to be your sister. She has Asian features. You don't. Since you're already so close, why don't you just come even closer? Or better yet, sit on my lap. What? I mean, you're way too close to me. She snapped and shoved him away. She jabbed a finger into his chest. Why do you always have to touch people? Keep your hands to yourself. He backed off and pointed at himself. Do I really? Oh man, Kilan, yes. Don't you ever notice? She sighed loudly. Well, whatever. That's not important right now. The fact that I'm related to this Zayina means I'm a big help to you, right? I can be useful? Smiling, he nodded and raised his clenched fist. Very much so. We can get in contact with her without it looking suspicious. She, as the president's daughter, might know more about the CRs, you know? This is fantastic. He suddenly pulled her into a tight hug and rocked her back and forth. This is great! All right, she replied, smiling in his arms. I get it. We're getting closer and closer to the CRs. He released her and held her by the shoulders, grinning. Yeah, I've been waiting for this for so long. Suddenly, Jiyan moved, and she caught him out of the corner of her eye. Her cheeks flared hot at once. How could she forget he was watching? Why don't we just settle for this life? Why does it always have to be more? He uncrossed his arms, letting them hang limply. I'm going to lie down for a bit. Excuse me. After he left the room, Jiyan dared to turn to Kilan. She lowered her voice, afraid Jiyan might hear her. What's wrong with him? Is he in a bad mood? When I met him 2 years ago, Kilan began, he was much worse. He lacks motivation. If he doesn't have a goal in sight, he's lost and doesn't know what to do with himself. He was never enthusiastic about finding the CRs. It was my idea, after all. I think he's doing it for my sake. She grew thoughtful. When he feels needed, he's better, Kilan continued. At first, I had the feeling he'd given up. There wasn't a single spark of will to live in his eyes. The moment he realized how much I needed him, how dependent I was on him, he slowly started to come out of his shell. We always have to make him feel that his existence isn't pointless. She nodded. I understand. She glanced back once more. What if he was behind the wall, listening? Jiyan? Suddenly, he grabbed her hand and she flinched. He frowned, looking strained. If I'm not around anymore, please, take care of him. Make sure he doesn't give up. Give him a reason to keep going. Is he that important to you? This time, his smile was sincere. Very, like a big brother, I want to protect him from everything and everyone. Silly, isn't it? He laughed. How ironic life can be sometimes, she murmured with a faint smile. So incredibly ironic. He tilted his head. Ironic? What do you mean? I promise, I'll look after him. Every time he doubts himself, I'll give him a reason to keep going, she said. And in that instant, she could see a huge weight lift from his shoulders. The Slivon inside me is the first one that ever took over my body, right? She changed the subject, her tone turning serious. That's why I don't have any birthmarks, right? He nodded. It's an astonishing result, like I said. Not many Slivons manage that. On average, a Slivon's life expectancy is 4 years, because the human wakes up or something else decisive happens. I have 7 birthmarks. Kilan has 5. But... Suddenly, he pushed up her top and examined her skin. You have to have one. Maybe if I just look a little closer. Are you crazy? She smacked him on the back of the neck, and he blinked at her. You can't just do that to a girl? She sighed. I'll examine myself. But there are places you can't see, he pointed out. Your back, for example. Come on, I'll check. Stop it, she warned, raising her hands. If I need help, I'll ask Jiyan. He pursed his lips for a moment. Why can't I? Because he's my brother and... She shook her head. Never mind. I'm sure I don't have a Slivon mark. She clenched her hand. Her scalp tingled, and she bit her lower lip briefly. Let's visit this Jiyan soon. That's probably the most sensible next step. Agreed. He held out the back of his hand and waited, looking determined. We'll fight and achieve our goals. Are you in? Nodding, she placed her hand on his. For a moment, they stayed like that, thinking. Then they pumped their hands up and down 3 times and raised them into the air. Both let out a cheer. Yes! Oops, she said, pressing a hand over her mouth. We should be quieter. Jiyan probably won't like that. Suddenly, he rummaged around in his pocket and waved her off with his other hand. He's probably not asleep anyway. I know him. He's staring at the ceiling, thinking about how pointless our plan and everything else is. When he pulled out the contents, she saw pills. I need water. Medicine? Are you sick? She asked, following him closely. Her curiosity was piqued. Kilan? He took a glass from the cupboard and filled it directly from the tap. They're sleeping pills. Nothing to worry about. Everything's fine. He put the pill in his mouth and lifted the glass. For a brief moment, her hand twitched as if to stop him, but she placed her other hand over it and restrained herself. Can't you sleep? Was she allowed to ask now? Was this the right moment? Did they know each other well enough? Probably not. Don't you like sleeping? He swallowed and seemed relieved. Oh, I like it very much. Sleeping is good. Why do you take these pills? The smile he gave her was strained. So I sleep more deeply and don't notice anything. I don't want to dream.